Story: humans steal alien resources. Look, I'm not a thief. No, really. I didn't grow up skipping school to boost candy bars or spray painting murals on the overpass. My record's clean as a whistle, except for that minor speeding ticket a few years back. But desperate times call for, well, you get the picture. And let me tell you, times were bleaker than a starless night out in the far reaches of the galaxy. The whole mess started with those blasted Zi'nar. Aliens, proper ones, all tentacles and glowing eyes so big and bulbous they looked bolted on after the fact. They swaggered onto the galactic scene about 10 years ago, fancy starcraft gleaming, claiming they were here to share the wonders of this thing called trans-light travel. Next thing you know, they're the only way to get between systems and charging an arm and a tentacle for it. At first, Earth was all sunshine and handshakes. Sure, the Zi'nar were kinda slimy looking, but hey, we've got cockroaches, right? No point judging on appearances. We all figured this new travel tech would mean space colonies, new resources, the usual sci-fi dreams. Then the bills rolled in. Turns out those fancy Zi'nar ships, the ones that could hop across light years like kids skipping stones on a pond, ran on a special fuel called Luxin only. The Zi'nar claimed they were the sole source, and they weren't about to give away that kind of power. Earth, well, we went from eager handshake to clenched fist real quick. But, like the good little dependent customers we were, we grumbled and started paying the outrageous prices the Zi'nar demanded. Problem was, it kept getting worse. Every couple of months, boom. Price hike. We'd barely recover from the last one before another rolled in, squeezing out the last drops of Earth's bank account. Lights started flickering in cities, power cuts became the norm, and all those dreams of colonies turned to dust as fast as a supernova. That's where folks like me came in. The desperate type. See, I worked haulage the rusty, beat-up shuttle kind, dragging cargo between Earth and the lunar station. Nothing glamorous, but it was steady, or it had been. When the power rationing hit, jobs dried up. I went from barely scraping by to checking sofa cushions for loose change. Sitting in my crummy apartment one night, the building groaning and threatening to cut power any second, a spark of something dangerous ignited in me. A spark, maybe fueled by part anger, part desperation, and a whole lot of bad moonshine. If the Zi'nar got to hoard the fuel that was strangling Earth, well, maybe it was time they learned something about how us humans handle unfairness. Word gets around, even in the vacuum of space. Turned out, I wasn't the only one with a grudge against the Zi'nar and an empty bank account. A few back-channel messages, a couple of meetings in dimly lit spaceport bars, and suddenly, I had a crew. Or the loosest definition of crew you ever saw. There was Cassie, a pilot with nerves of steel and hair to match. Ex-military, and while she never said it, I got the feeling the brass on Earth hadn't been kind about her dismissal. Raj, a code-breaking, wiry guy who I swore was part cyborg. The way he fussed over his datapad was uncanny. And then there was Docs, whose real name no one seemed to know. Doc was our medic, but I got the distinct impression patching people up wasn't his original line of work. The kind of guy you hoped never needed his skills, but were damn relieved to have if you did. Our grand plan was so crazy, it actually bordered on genius, maybe. The Zi'nar had a refueling station on a lonely asteroid. Guarded, obviously, but not a full-on military base. We figured a quick raid, get the Luxin, and vanish back into the black before anyone knew what hit them. It was a long shot, a bet against astronomical odds, but what choice did we have? Let Earth sink into darkness? Not on my watch. Our ship was a Frankenstein-ed monstrosity, the lunar scavenger, Cassie called it, though I'm pretty sure that name came with the rust already attached. My old hauler had been patched together with parts salvaged from other wrecks, engines whining in complaint, systems flashing warnings that made Raj grin like he was reading a love letter. If this thing blew up mid-flight, well, it was kinda on brand. The heist itself was a blur of adrenaline and duct tape. Cassie flew like a demon, weaving through the asteroid fields surrounding the Zi'nar station so fast, I swore I saw stars smearing past the viewport. We disguised ourselves as a limping trade vessel, broadcasting maydays that Raj had cooked up some clever interference that painted us as a non-threat. The plan hinged on them, assuming we were desperate enough for refuge. They bought it. Docking was the sketchiest part. The station loomed out of the darkness, glistening under the feeble lights that dotted its surface. A communications crackle and a heavily accented Zi'nar voice barked through the speakers, suspicion oozing from every syllable. We played it, panicked, garbled transmissions, and Rajay frantically fixing some catastrophic issue that had us dead in the water. Finally, grudgingly, they gave us docking clearance. The moment the airlock hissed open, I tasted metal at the back of my throat. This was it. Doc, bless his black market medical knowledge, had cooked us up a cocktail to knock a Zi'nar flat. Our only chance was to get in and out without starting a proper firefight. The first Zi'nar we saw was in the refueling control. It looked up from its console as we burst in, 3 tentacle-like appendages fumbling for some kind of weapon. Too slow. Cassie darted forward, taser in hand. One crackle, and the Zi'nar was twitching on the floor. All right, Raj. Gates to the fuel tanks? I barked into the comms. Give me a second, Cap. Raj chirped back, fingers flying over what looked like an antique keyboard. These Zi'nar and their obsession with complex security. The station was quiet, eerily so. Not the bustle I'd half expected, just dimly lit corridors, the thrum of machinery in the background, and the echo of our boots. That silence began to gnaw at me, the feeling of walking into a web without seeing the spider. Just as Raj whooped that he'd opened the gates, the alarm blared. Lights strobed red, a klaxon shattering the tense quiet. We've been made. Doc's voice tight over the comms. We ran. The fuel tanks gleamed like giant silver eggs in a cavernous hangar, Luxin shimmering inside. We brought haulage containers, but with the alarm blaring, we were working on borrowed time. Fill them up, quick, I yelled, trying not to picture an entire squad of Zi'nar bearing down on us at any second. Then came the shout. From Cassie, incoming. I whirled in time to see a Zi'nar burst through the hangar doors, not one of the guards, but this thing was monstrous. Twice the size, armored plates lining its bulbous body, and in one of its hands, I swear, it held a honest-to-goodness plasma cannon, .it fire. The world seemed to dissolve into blinding white heat. I ducked, more instinct than plan, and the beam shot past, incinerating one of the fuel tanks. Orange flames roared, and the stink of burnt chemical filled the air. Then the Zi'nar was bellowing, a sound that made my teeth vibrate. Raj, get those doors open. I roared into the comms, hauling ass back towards the lunar scavenger. Working on it. Raj's voice was strained. Their systems are fighting me. That's all for today. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this. Make sure to subscribe to our channel.